Hello everybody and welcome back to the Super Mario Odyssey playthrough. So, we managed to get the power moon that was under the cheese rocks, and now we have to go to the big pot on the volcano, and we get to do the one thing that I'm sure everybody has wanted to do: take control of a piece of meat. Yes, that is probably just about as dirty as it sounds. No, we're not going to be doing that for a little while. I mean, obviously we're going to head there, but I've got power moons that I want to collect, and obviously they are more important than continuing the story. I mean, that one was just waiting for me, so I felt that I needed to do that one. And this one's an interesting one because we've got loads of cheese everywhere, we've got a frying bro, and the whole thing is about destroying cheese and doing it so that you can actually, you know, succeed. And this is a particularly terrifying secret moon to get, because obviously if you destroy too many, then yeah, you're not going to be able to get up high enough. And I like how I glitched out the camera there. It, like, well and truly freaked out. But yes, the rest of it is obliterating as much cheese as is humanly possible to locate where the other moon shards are, and it is easier said than done finding them all. As long as you know you're just throwing the frying pans about willy-nilly, then you should be able to find them all right. But there's also the chance that, you know, you may accidentally screw yourself over and not be able to get everything else. But I will say, either way, it's just a delight throwing everything with the Hammer Brothers, because I mean, just look at how many kind of skillets we're throwing. It's just great. So yeah, so we've got one more, which I would say is the most difficult to locate until you realise that there's a sort of hole that there's no lava in. And it's going to take me longer than I would like to admit to realise that it's there. I think because in my head I had the whole thing of, I don't want to destroy too many or too much of the cheese, because then there's just going to be lava beneath it, and then I'm going to lose my hammer bro, and it's just going to end disastrously for me. So I was going every which way thinking, where the hell could this be? Because I've pretty much destroyed all the cheese that is available to me right now. And you can see in my head I'm just going, where is it? Little realising that there's, you know, a hole there that thankfully, just randomly throwing the skillet, managed to actually point it out. And it was just like, oh, it was there. Well, that was silly of me, wasn't it? But yeah, already we have more than enough moons to continue the story if we wanted to. And we certainly could do if we did wish to, but we don't. So we're just going to continue going as we are. One of the things that I do actually want to point out, though, is that with... Oh god, what is it? So, obviously, in each of the kingdoms, we face the Broodals. But obviously, you don't actually have to face the Broodals in order to leave the kingdom. You just have to get all of the, well, enough power moons to get that far. And because of that, it is possible to just move completely onwards, and the Broodals will disappear effectively, and so that their ship will vamoose. And you may think, well, what happens if I then go back to the kingdom and I want to get that power moon? Well, the Broodals will turn back up, you just won't get any of the dialogue. So, effectively, that is missable dialogue whenever you face down the Broodals, because you could ignore them and come back later and there would be no conversation to have. But that's certainly not an approach I would recommend taking, purely because, I mean, why would you? And I thought that there was a moon that I could get with that hammer bro. I was sorely mistaken, thankfully I do think I noticed a hat door that I hadn't seen that is quite an easy one to actually find. So we're going to go do that before we continue onwards. And yeah, this one's a slightly terrifying one because there's so much lava. And you've got platforms that are kind of jumping and falling, well, rising and falling as you go. The magma swamp is, yeah, it's slightly terrifying. I mean, the one nice thing is that Mario's platforming abilities are good enough that you can effectively clear most of these jumps without there really being much of a problem. But you still do want to be quite careful. I know that I'm definitely trying to be. Brain's freaking out every now and again, largely because, you know, I'm down to 2 bits of health and I don't like being there. I like being at full health and that makes me feel safe and happy. And that was a very reckless thing of me to do. Very reckless! But thankfully the moon shard's just there, so we're out of this joint safe and sound. Because I did nearly bit of a sort of mini heart attack during that. There are certain moons, as you've probably realised, where it's just like, oh, that's getting the heart pumping. That's sort of one of them, if only because, you know, magma can be really deadly. I mean, magma, deadly. It's kind of obvious. But, yeah. Also, I have to continue to say, it feels very bizarre doing the commentary for the Luncheon Kingdom now, after I have done the Hellfire Comms commentary in the Luncheon Kingdom and actually beaten the entire game. Well, we've done the entire game on the Hellfire Comms right now, what we've recorded. So it's a bit like, this does just feel slightly peculiar. It's one of those things that doesn't really happen all that often, where you're double dipping on a playthrough at the same time. But it does make me think, well, I've kind of already done commentary over this. And it sort of makes your brain go, well, I don't need to try as hard, but then actually, no, I need to try harder. Because, you know, the whole thing of kind of just doing this by myself. So, yeah, kind of gotta keep up the flow a little bit. Be exciting with what I'm discussing. It's not really entirely going to happen, and yeah, this is these two. That's not exactly how you're intended to get those, but it works, so I would recommend it because it means you don't have to worry about the magmatos, as they're called. Because obviously they are magma tomatoes, which is great. Rather hilariously, the Japanese name for them is tomapon, with the suffix pon, and obviously tom or tama from tomato, which is just quite cute. And oh, this particular area is another of those high tension areas, because as you can see, there's a lot of tight routes that you have got to be going through, and the lava bubbles, or podoboos as I'm going to continue calling them, are not the slowest of creatures, and I got very reckless there. I thought, oh, can I make this chump? Chump? Can I make this jump? The answer was no, because you are a chump. Clearly. But hey, at least I got out there and proved, no, you can't make that jump. As a podoboo, you've got to do it normally. I do believe that actually there is somebody, I'm not sure if this is 100% the case, but they managed to get through this particular area without using the Podoboo. And, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've seen it. And it is a very impressive feat, because, I mean, it involves getting hurt, which is also, obviously, always a very risky thing, but if it works, it works. And it's just one of those things of, like, the speedrunning community being absolutely brilliant at finding all sorts of weird and wonderful skips and tricks that you can do to get through things. And is there anything up here? I thought there was. There's probably something there in the post-game. That's usually the case. You see, this is the other thing that I've mentioned time and time again. Playing through the game 100% the first time, and then coming back through, you start to kind of forget where certain moons were and were not. Because you think, oh, I know where a moon is. Oh, but the moon's not there. Why is the moon not there? And just like, oh, it's post-game. God damn it. But yeah. Something else I feel I should probably point out about the, He does talk to you, that guy, and what he tells you is how to get the power moon here. Which is by, stomping, well, ground pounding all of these little bumps. I thought it was something to do with destroying the fruit. It's not. It's to do with ground pounding, and I wonder what's down here. Oh, no, that's a spoiler. Yep, let's run away very quickly from that. You did not see a thing. No, definitely did not. Definitely not. It's the one curse of the portraits. Some of them are available to as soon as you enter a kingdom, and lead to kingdoms that you have yet to go to. And it does mean that there's a sort of slight spoilerificness going on there, which you do not really want to be happening at 2D Hammer Brothers. The worst type of Hammer Brother. Thankfully they're dead now, so I'm really not too fussed, even though you know I'm down to 1 health, and that's very risky. But that was only because I was an idiot, so if I die, then it's entirely my own fault, but avoiding these lava bubbles that's nothing. But yeah, once again, it's so easy to get sidetracked. I mean, clearly, we haven't even... Well, we've done a grand total of 2 story moons so far. One of which was beat the Broodals, the other of which was get the one beneath the cheese. And, oh god. Yeah, this is like a proper Super Mario Sunshine secret area. Because we're doing it without Cappy. And this one is actually surprisingly difficult, because obviously the way that the game intends you to do this is it wants you to grab onto the side of the rotating platform and ride it round in order to get the moon. That's fine. It's just that it's a little bit difficult to get Mario to actually grab onto the side of this one for some reason. And then things like that happen, where Mario gets like, ridiculously close to being clinging onto the side, and then he jumps up. Thankfully, you can just stand on the outside, very, very, very close to the edge, and still pick them up, so that's pretty much probably the easiest way of doing that one. But that one caused me quite the frustration. And this entire Moon series can be just quite frustrating, because obviously you're doing these platforms that are rotating without Cappy, which is obviously always asking for trouble. And yeah, expect a couple of deaths throughout this one. I mean, I would normally be incredibly furious about having Cappy taken away from me, because it was the whole reason that I really disliked the floodless levels in Super Mario Sunshine. Because it's that whole thing of the reason that Mario is somewhat fun to play as during Sunshine is because of Flood. The second you remove Flood, Mario's moveset is just that little bit more infuriating to deal with. And because of that, you just end up in a situation where you just want to be out of that area as soon as possible. Thankfully, without Cappy, Mario isn't as screwed as he was when he was without Flood. But you need Cappy to experience the full joy of how Odyssey plays, and getting rid of Cappy just leads to more frustration. So I'm definitely less of a fan of the moons where that is the case. But I think it's probably about time to continue the story a little bit, I feel. So let's shake our meat. Yes, that was a euphemism. Actually quite literal, but certainly sounds like a euphemism, doesn't it? But yes, we are now on top of the stew. Obviously this is an incredibly hot stew. It's being heated by a blooming volcano, so I mean you'd expect it to be hot. I mean really Mario should be burning away right now, but obviously he's Mario, he can do pretty much anything he ever wants to, because certain elements of physics don't apply to him. But either way, we got a multi-moon! That's quite fun. But, while you may think that this is the end of the Luncheon Kingdom, it's definitely not! There's a whole other section to it, because it's pretty much as you get towards the end of the game, the main kingdoms do get longer in terms of the story content offered up to you. And yeah, Cookatiel, as this bird is actually called, is being a bit of a nightmare, and making Mount Volbono erupt. And sending us all the way back to start. Thanks, Cookatiel. You're a delight. But it's fine, because we get to go through the inside of Mount Volbono and round the other side, and then we get to do a bit of climbing, which is great. And the other thing that's quite cool is that once you reach this point, there are a couple more moons that are opened up to you. I mean, you've noticed, probably, I certainly have, if you look to your, well, look behind where we were just there, there are some torches. And if we head over to those torches, what do you know? There's a power moon here. Part of me sort of wanted a little Zelda jingle there, but I know that they've already done that before with, I think it was Super Mario 3D Land. So I can't really blame them for not including it here as well, because that would maybe be a little bit too on the nose. despite the fact that they have already done it before, but hey, that's life. But I will say, I really do like this second bit. Well, it's more the third act of Mount Volbono, because not only have you've got another route to Peronza Plaza, but you get 2D, you get climbing up a mountain, which is always fun. I hate Tower Brothers, so getting the hurt on that one was a good thing to be doing. But it's just a really fun platforming challenge, really. So it just makes me happy. And then we get a relatively fun boss fight at the end of it, so it all works out if you ask me. But yes, this bit's quite fun, because obviously we've not been able to climb up the waterfalls of lava yet, because the actual waterfalls and the Podoboos can't actually climb or jump that high. But we do get to climb up this one because it's an incline that allows us to do that. The trick is, don't land on the rolling platforms, because that is going to hurt a lot. As you can see right here, that's me dead. I blame the pillar more than anything. If it hadn't turned up, I would have been perfectly fine. But no, it just decided it wanted to kill me. And I've got the feeling that this is going to occur a few more times before I get to the top of this. I mean, this isn't even a difficult section, it's just it decided it wanted to hate on me. And then we've got another delightful Insomniac hidden section right about now, because you've always got to look behind you. Every single bloody time. Because there's always something in some sort of nook behind you. Which is nice, because it does then make you think, oh well, I should try looking behind me more often. But then also, it can be frustrating because it's just like, well, the game's pushing me forward and it's hiding stuff behind me, and that can be a bit frustrating. But I have to say, I'm quite happy because we're going to probably end up with about 40 moons by the time we're done with the story bit of Mount Volbono. But yeah, our final goal is the Cookatiel Showdown. And I do like that the enemy is called Cookatiel, because, I mean, so Cookatiel itself basically looks very much like Wingo from Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. So Wingo was the main antagonist of Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, was sort of like a massive crow. But there's a kind of striking resemblance in terms of the sort of fat body, the way the beak is, and so on and so forth. And so it's nice that there is actually that reference to Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, because it's a great game. And also, look, we've captured a piranha plant! And it's great fun! It's actually the one enemy capture that I did actually miss in my first playthrough of Super Mario Odyssey. You're going to see me realise that in the sort of final part, or sort of, yeah, pretty much the final part of the playthrough. And yeah, let's just say that I was rather embarrassed when I realised that, because it's quite an easy one to get. You've got to make sure that you hit the rock into the piranha plant's face, and then you're pretty much good to go. You just got to make sure that you have done that. And the way that you're meant to get that power moon with the torches is capture the fire piranha plant and then have fun utterly decimating it. but clearly I went with the old-fashioned method, which is pretty much how I got it in my first run through. Yes, obviously we're going to continue climbing up to Cookatiel, and it's just fun. Cookatiel obviously is it's a pun, well, the merging of cook and cockatiel. It's obviously sort of the type of bird it is. The Japanese is kokucho, which is a pun on kokucho, which is head cook, but obviously it's the same as cook bird, so that's quite nice. Spanish is chefaraco, from chef, and payaraco, which is an ugly bird. The French is toc-toc. Toc is a brimless hat, which refers mostly to a chef's hat. And this was a stupid move. This was a very, very stupid move. Yeah, so toc is a chef's hat, and it's also put on tok-tok, which is crazy or cuckoo. The German is Chefkoch, which is Chefkoch, which is head chef, and Gockel, which is a rooster. Italian is Gonmello, from gourmet and uccello, which is a bird. And then pretty much, you know, the Russian, Korean, Chinese are exactly the same. Russian is povaruche, coming from povars and cook. Korean is kukjo, which is cook bird. And the Chinese is chushi niao, which is chef bird again. But I will say that, yes, we've probably faffed about enough on our run-up to the showdown with Cookatiel, so we should probably actually, you know, get on with facing down Cookatiel. Yeah, just jump in the cannon, go to the fight. This is what we've waited for. This is why this part is 30 minutes long. But yes, the meal is ready! Pretty much the stew's looking really lovely. I don't know how Cookatiel managed to, you know, chop all these fruit and, well, all the veg up, and also get the meat all nice and mixed up in there, but somehow it managed to. And then also, not quite sure about this. This is effectively vomiting into the stew, which I'm sure is actually rather disgusting. I certainly wouldn't like to be swimming in this right now. I mean, I suppose in some sort of weird, sick way, Cookatiel is effectively a phoenix because, you know, it's spewing forth magma, which is basically fire, and, you know, obviously phoenixes are firebirds, so this is just a very fat chef phoenix. It looks nothing like a phoenix. And yeah, those first two phases, pretty simple in terms of riding up the magma spew. The final phase, however, a bit more tricky. So one of the things that slightly frustrates me about this boss is that it's a waiting game until he starts spewing, because you can't hit him at any other point until he does that, which is frustrating, but I suppose at least you can avoid and just ram into everything, which is fun. But yeah, this is the fun bit of the final phase. The spew comes out in sort of random chunks, and that just makes it much more difficult because the perspective is ever so slightly off, so it's a lot more difficult to manage to get up, but we managed it. Cookatiel is down, and Cookatiel is stewed as well. So we shall collect our multi-moon, and then it's just going to be a case of wrapping up our time in the Luncheon Kingdom, which should be a lot of fun. Also, I think, seeing as, you know, we have obliterated everything else in the stew, I'm just going to go get the rest of my coins, because, hey, they're easy coins, and yes, there is our multi-moon. And then let's finish off, wrapping up a whole bunch of moons in the Luncheon Kingdom. Woohoo!